Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastya Chadishtarne Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchkalptarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha. Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai. Shri Ram Navami Mahotsava ki jai. Yes, right. So, I am a bit of a computerized Swami, so I have my computer here. And my computer knows a lot. There's just a huge amount of information here. So I'm going to read 2 verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavat Purana, the 18th final Purana. And I'll read from the 9th canto, chapter 10, which is called the Glories of Lord Sri Ram. And I'll read verse 54 and verse 55. And 54, this first verse is describing the character, you could say, who is Lord Ram, his nature. Ekapatni vrata daro, rajarshi charita shuchi, swadarlamam grihamediyam, shikshayan swayam acharet. Lord Ramachandra took a vow to accept only one wife and have no connection with any other women. He was a saintly king, and everything in his character was good, untinged by qualities like anger. He taught good behavior for everyone, especially for householders, in terms of Varnashram Dharma. Thus he taught the general public by his personal activities. The Sanskrit term for that is shikshayan swayam acharet. Shiksha, he gave shiksha, he gave instructions, guidance, not just guidance but direction. He taught the general public, swayam, by his personal activities. So there is a purport here by our Samstapakacharya, Srila Prabhupada. I will just mention a couple of points from it. He makes the point here that Lord Ram, he had taken the vow. In fact, the verse says, Eka patni, vrata. Vrata means vow. Eka patni, one wife. Eka patni, vrata. And you might think, well, that's not very unusual. Why make a point of mentioning that? Because that's the general way things are. I don't think in Dundee you have gentlemen with 2 wives. It is not the general practice, but in those days, like Lord Ram's father, Dasarath, he had 3 wives. 3. And that was not unusual in those days. particularly for the Kshatriyas, like the royal order, the warriors, the really, the powerful men. They could do it. They could afford it on one hand, and they had the strength to keep the household, everything under control, and look after more than one wife. And sometimes they had 10 wives. Wasn't unusual in those days. So therefore, it is significant that Lord Ram, he had that Ekapatni Vrata, the vow to accept only one wife. So Prabhupada in the purport here, he says that because Lord Ram is God, he is the Supreme Lord. He's not just one of us, an ordinary person. So when Mother Sita was kidnapped, I think you probably know the story basically. Ramayana, I'm sure you do. So she was kidnapped by Ravan. I won't go into the details of that, it's a bit of a long story, but she was kidnapped. And Prabhupada makes the point that because Lord Ram is the Lord, if he had wanted, he could have just manifested just like that, right in front of everyone's eyes. 100 Sitas, 1,000 Sitas. He could do that because he's God. And that is not difficult at all for God. But he didn't. He didn't do that. Rather, you know the story, he took great difficulty what he did in order to rescue Mother Sita. Oh, that was no small thing. Gathering an army, then crossing the sea, and then the great battle, and actually millions of people died just so he could rescue his one Sita. Many people died, but he brought them all back to life afterwards. But it was simply to rescue Sita Devi. He took that trouble because he had taken the vow to look after his wife. Come what may, even if it cost him his life. Of course, he's God, so he can't be killed, but still, that was his mood. Whatever it takes. So it's just really wonderful. He is known as Maryada Purushottama. Purusha Uttama. Purusha means person, or even a man, but a person. And Uttama means the supreme person. But he is Maryada Purushottama. Maryada means rules and regulations. That he always took great trouble to do things right and according to the standards, the moral standards. And if you know the story, at least Valmiki Ramayana, it describes there how when, just before he was informed, just before Dasarath, his father, told him, you're going into exile for 14 years, like minutes or half an hour before or something. then who was it who came and told him? Kaikei, the mother of Bharat, came and told Ram that this is the situation. This is the situation. And she didn't exactly tell him, you're going into exile, but she told him, your father is coming with some news for you, and you will not like that. You will it's just like terrible, terrible news for you. So there you go. And Lord Ram responded that, what do you mean, terrible news? If my father orders me, I'll jump into fire. I'll do anything. I'll just jump into the ocean. I'll just give my life, just like that, if my father orders me, because he's my father. So this is the type of attitude of Lord Ram in general. And even, again, if you know the story of it, at least Valmiki Ramayana, when he was finally told this is the situation, and that Kaikei, the mother of Bharat, she was really responsible for it, then Bharat, the son of Kaikei, who's now apparently going to become the king instead of Ram, but Bharat, the son, said, I would kill you, to his mother. I would kill you for this. What you've done against Ram, I would kill you. But the only reason I don't is because Ram would not be happy with me. Ram would be angry with me. So that's the character of Lord Ram. It's a little inconceivable. And Ram, he said, Ram does not speak twice. Lord Ram is famous for, they say, 3 ones. 3 ones. One wife. In any matter, if there's some decision to be made or something like that, 1 word. And for his enemy, 1 arrow. That's all. That's right. You know, 1 word, not like the politicians. I remember quite a few years ago, I saw on television, many years ago, a politician was being interviewed and about something, and he said, well, on one hand, we can do this. Then he said, but on the other hand, we can do that. And on another hand, we'll do something else. And the interviewer said, oh, you have 3 hands, do you? That's the politician's flexi speak. But Lord Ram, 1 word on any subject, and that's it. It's finished. That's Maryada Purushottama. Different from Lord Krishna. Krishna is called Leela Purushottama. The Supreme Person, same Supreme Person, but his particular feature, characteristic, is his leelas, his pastimes, which are, you know, I mean, I'm sure you do know, sometimes quite exotic, quite extraordinary pastimes. And he didn't have 1 wife. He had 16,108. Anyway, but he's God. God can do that. He can have billions, actually. But in the case of Lord Ram, Ekapatni Vrata, Dharam Patni. I don't know if here, you know, in the Hindi, North Indian tradition, there's Dharumpati and Dharumpatni. You're familiar with that? Dharumpati, a husband, but not just a husband, but religious husband. And Dharumpatni, religious wife. And not just, you know, by some going to the registry office and filling out a document, something like that, and paying 10 rands. And then he's your husband, and she's your wife. So, yeah, okay. So Lord Ram, Shikshayam Swayam Acharat. He taught the general public. He taught us, means, how to live. And therefore Lord Ram, and it's one reason why Lord Ram is very, very popular. You know, maybe more popular than Krishna in India. Maybe it's a little, it depends where in India. But Lord Ram is very popular because he set such examples, perfect examples, even at the cost of, you know, inconvenience or extreme inconvenience. Yeah. So yeah, Lord Ram, what a person. And we can learn from him, just from his example. And the next verse is describing Sita Devi, 9th canto, chapter 10, verse 55. Prem nanu vritya shilena prashraya vanata sati biyahriya chabhavagya bhartu Sita haran manaha. Mother Sita. So this is now Sita. So ladies, tune in and listen to this. Yeah, listen to this. Mother Sita was very submissive, faithful, shy, and chaste, always understanding the attitude of her husband. Thus, by her character and her love and service, she completely attracted the mind of the Lord. By her love, her character, her personality, her personal nature, her love and her service, she attracted the mind. Now, I'm sure it doesn't apply to any of you ladies. I mean, what I'm going to say now. So just don't mind, all right? It's not about you. But in the Western society, if a wife wants to sort of manipulate her husband or control her husband, get him to do what she wants, what they normally do, it's called henpecking. Are you familiar with this term? Henpecking. If you're familiar with hens, you see, they pick grains or whatever off the ground. They go peck, peck, peck. So in Western society, which, you know, I'm very familiar with because I was brought up in it, that's what a lot of wives do. They want some more money from the husband. They just pick and tell him 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 until he says, all right, all right. And he gives them some more money. Anyway, please don't mind. But Sita, she was able to control Lord Ram in the sense, control in a nice sense, that he would do whatever she wanted. And you know the story of her kidnapping, that Marichi came. Marichi's like a sort of, what would you say, not exactly a moody man, or maybe you would say that, something like that. A wizard, yeah, you know, a magician sort of person. And he transformed himself into the form of a deer, a little deer, and that deer looked so beautiful and so sweet and just lovable. And Sita, as a gentle-hearted lady, was very attracted to that little deer. And she told Ram, please get that deer for me. And Ram, because it's her request, Ram was just ready to do it. Lakshman, on the other hand, if you know the story, Lakshman objected. Look at this deer. This is not an ordinary deer. This is some magical creation. Leave it. Just let it go. But Sita was saying to Ram, oh, come on, please. And Lord Ram went. And like I said, without going into the details, Sita got kidnapped. And here's an interesting little inside bit of information. That Lakshman, I mentioned, he told Ram, don't do it. There will be trouble here, because this is not just a deer, this is some magical creation. But Lord Ram, for his wife, she asked me, I must get it. And the end result was she got kidnapped. And Ram chastised Lakshman. I told you to stay with her. And Lakshman didn't say anything, but he thought to himself, I told you not to go for that deer. If you had just let that deer go, Sita would still be here. So Lakshman thought, the problem is, you are the older brother. I'm the younger brother. I can't contradict you. And Lakshman made a decision. In our next lives, I will be the older brother, because I think I make better decisions. And there were 3 times when Lakshman decided that I must become the older brother. Second time was when Ram said Sita had to walk through fire to prove her purity, after being in the house of, not exactly in the house, but sort of under the control of Radhan for a month or so. And the other time, so Ram told Lakshman, we have to build a fire. Someone has to build a fire. She has to walk through fire. And Lakshman said, she doesn't need to walk through fire. She's completely pure. There's no need. And no one's going to build it. Who's going to build a fire for her to walk through? No one's going to build a fire. And Ram said, Lakshman, you are. You're the younger brother. You have to do what I say. So Lakshman had to build the fire. And he's thinking, why are we doing this? If I was the older brother, we would not be doing this. Anyway, but getting back to Sita and her faithfulness, submissive, faithful, shy, chaste, she completely attracted the mind of Lord Ram. And he would do anything, basically. Like when he was exiled, when he's told, then Sita came up to Lord Ram and said, when are we leaving? And Ram said, we are not leaving. I am leaving. You have not been exiled. But Sita, I can just read a couple of verses here from Valmiki Ramayana. When Lord Ram tells her, no, you're not coming, she tells him, I am coming. She says, there is no sin in me for which I should be left behind. In all circumstances, shelter in the shade of the feet of one's husband is better than residence in a palace, in an aircraft, or travel through outer space. I do not need any instruction at this time regarding how I should act. Actually, she says a lot. It's a couple of chapters, actually. Many verses. She's telling Ram, for this reason, that reason, so many reasons, I am coming. Father, mother, brother, son, daughter-in-law enjoy their particular good fortune according to their pious activities. But the wife alone achieves the same fortune as her husband. Therefore, as you have been banished to the forest, I also am ordered to reside in the forest. For a married woman, neither her father, her own body, her mother, nor her girlfriends are ever her shelter in this world or in death. Only her husband is. And this is very traditional, and not every husband is like Lord Ram. And not every wife is like Sita. But, we have to try our best, put it that way. Learn what is right, what is wrong, and try to do our best. You can only do your best, you can't really do more than that. So she says, what does she say here? I am exclusively devoted to you. My mind is attached to you. Without you, I would certainly die. In my life, listen to this, everybody, and particularly ladies. In my life, I have never even mentally looked at another man, as do women who disgrace their families. And I could go on. I'm one of these people you turn me on and it's hard to turn me off, but we don't want to impose on your program, we really don't. But before I conclude, let me test you all, your knowledge of Ram Leela. Are you ready? We all know Ram's sort of main brother was Lakshmana. What was the name of Lakshmana's wife? Who knows? Sorry? Huh? It's okay. I mean, generally, nobody knows. I mean, not nobody, but in South Africa, very few. Her name was Urmila. Urmila is sister of Sita, and wife of Lakshmana. And she was also very faithful. I mean, they're all just, incredibly faithful. And she was extremely faithful. Lakshman, of course, Lakshman was not exiled. He just volunteered that I'll come with you. And he said, I will come with you and I will protect you 24 hours a day. I will not sleep. I will not sleep. For 14 years, I will not sleep. All night I'll be there with my weapons. And if anybody, any enemy comes, I'll deal with them. I won't sleep. But then Nidra Devi or Nindra Devi is the goddess of sleep. Goddess of sleep. She told him, all right, I'll give you a blessing. You will not have to sleep for 14 years. But someone will have to sleep for you. And Urmila volunteered, I will sleep for my husband. She slept for 14 years. Yeah. And Lakshman didn't sleep at all for 14 years. And if you know the story, that was how he was able to kill Indrajit, because Indrajit had the blessing. He could only be killed by someone who was, the Sanskrit term is Gudakesh, means someone who has conquered sleep. Conquered sleep. He is the only person who could kill Indrajit, and that was Lakshman. I mean, it was very close, but Lakshman killed him. I mean, well, you know what it's like. Most people, when they wake up Saturday morning, and they start thinking, oh, I got to get up, go to work. And they realize, oh, it's Saturday. I don't have to go to work. Oh, wonderful, I can sleep. And then they sleep more. And you must know, anyone who they look forward to sleeping, they just love sleeping. Well, in Sanskrit, they are in tamagun, tamas, ignorance. Yeah. Anyway, let's not go there. So these are some thoughts, devotees and friends from Dundee. And, you know, like I said, I remember being here. When was it? It was before COVID, but a year before or 2 years?
2 years.
I think a couple of years, right? 6 years ago. Something like that. And I was looking forward so much to coming, because I remembered you. Yes, a special devotee. And I remembered yourselves. Very nice people.
You've lost quite a bit during the COVID.
Oh,
Quite a lot of people.
really? We also lost some good people.
Yeah, the best one.
Yes, well, you know, it's the material world. What can you do? We all have a, what do you call it, like a Best Buy mark on us. Expiry date. We all have. It's not something unusual what to do, but we got to carry on. I remember the last time there were more people here.
Yes, yes.
I remember that.
We've got some people that's preparing tomorrow's prasad.
Acha.
So.
Right. Great, great. Very nice. Okay, so there you go. Gentlemen, please learn not just to have only one wife. That's just, you know, that's just a given. But you must look after your wife. Protect. Protect. Because in this world, you know, if you keep up with the news a little, there's so much about the abuse of women. It's amazing. The abuse of women, it is terrible. And so the ladies need good, strong men to look after them. And that's what Ram did. It's true. I know your husband's not like Lord Ram. But really, it's one of the great duties of the husband is to see to the physical protection of his wife. Yeah. So Lord Ram taught that example, that being a householder or living with a wife and children is never condemned, provided one lives according to the principles of Varnashram Dharma, of religious Dharma. Yeah. So yes, just see what Ram did for his wife. Just see what he did for his wife. But he was so kind. Lord Ram was just generally so kind that on the last night, before the last day of the battle, Ravana has already lost his whole army and all his brothers, and it's just him left, just one, Ravan. The rest of his side, they're all finished. And Lord Ram went to him. Lord Ram told him, just give me Sita back. That's all. Just give me Sita back. I'll bring all your family and friends and army and everyone. I'll bring them all back to life. And I'll make them forget that we were ever enemies. I'll make them think we have always been friends. And we will be friends. And you rule. You stay here and you rule Lanka. He was not, Ram was not trying to do some sort of, empire building, add another country to his empire. He told him, I just want Sita. You keep Lanka and all the wealth and everything, and we will be friends. Just give me Sita back. That's all. Unfortunately for Ravan, he said, no. What can you do? Some people are prone to make bad decisions, and Ravan was one of them. So yeah, gentlemen, you look after your wives, please. Maybe sometimes we should do a little check, ask the wives how your husband's looking after you, like that. And ladies, look after your husbands. Be nice to them. And in this way, we can have really happy society. In fact, the purport, I'll conclude by reading 2 or 3 sentences. As Lord Ramachandra is the ideal husband, Ekapatni Vrata, Mother Sita is the ideal wife. Such a combination makes family life very happy. Whatever example a great man sets, common people follow. If the kings, the leaders, and the Brahmins, the teachers, would set forth the examples we receive from the Vedic literatures, the entire world would be heaven. Indeed, there would no longer be hellish conditions within this material world, including here in Dundee. Dundee can become just a wonderful, joyful, happy place if the men and the ladies together, they perform their duties really according to Dharma. So there you go. Hare Krishna. Hare Rama.